Hola and welcome to ProSpanish. We're going to get started straight away so you can see just how easy it is to learn Spanish quickly. More advanced subscribers may want to skip forward to the time frame on the screen, otherwise stay with us for some extra practice. So most courses put off teaching the really useful stuff because it's seen as too complicated, but I'm going to show you right now, and even if this is your first Spanish lesson, how easily you can learn the most useful language. And after that, we'll introduce the rest of the vocabulary for the lesson. So the word for to see is ver, ver. The V always pronounced like a B in Spanish. So ver, imagine that you want to see a bear in the woods. Ver, to see. And if we want to say to see me, the word for me is me, spelt the same as me in English. So me is me. And if we want to say to see me, it's just verme, verme. So we just put the me, the me, and we glue it, we stick it to the end of the word ver, to see. So to see me is verme, but said all together, verme, verme, to see me. And to say to see you, well, te, te is you, so we've got me, te, you. So te is you, so to see you is verte, said together, verte, because we just stick the te on the end of ver. So we've got verme, to see me, and verte, to see you. Now the word for it is lo, lo. Have a guess. How do you think we would say to see it in Spanish? So lo is it. How would you say to see it? Verlo, verlo. We just stick the lo, the it, on the end of the word. Verlo, to see it. So we have verme, to see me, verte, to see you, and verlo, to see it. Very simple, and you'll see in a minute how useful this is going to be. Okay, so let's see the rest of the language that we need today. And don't worry about remembering it all. As the lesson develops, you'll just naturally retain more. Okay, so first of all, we have ver again, and remember, ver was to see. Can you remember what to see it was? Verlo. We just add the lo on there. Verlo, to see it. And we had verme, to see me, and verte, to see you. Okay, to visit is fairly straightforward. Visitar, visitar. Again, the V pronounced like a B. Visitar, to visit. How would you say to visit me? Like, are you going to visit me? What would that be, to visit me? Visitarme. Visitarme. Just stick the word me, the me, onto the end of visitar. Visitarme, to visit me. To call is llamar. Looks a bit like a llama, to call a llama. But the double L is a y. So llamar, to call. Llamar, to call. What do you think it would be for to call you? To call you. If it was to call me, it would be llamarme, with a me at the end. What is it to call you? Like, I'm going to call you later. What would that be? Llamarte. Just put the te on the end. Llamarte. To call you. Next we have to find, and it looks a bit like the word to encounter something, which is a bit like coming across or finding something. So to find, encontrar, encontrar. What would it mean if I said encontrarlo? Encontrarlo. What does that mean? To find it. And the next one is mirar. Mirar is to look or to look at. So to look at something, look at somebody, mirar. Mirar. So you can probably guess that mirarme is to look at me. Mirarlo, to look at it. Comprender, like comprehend. Comprender is to understand. And again, don't think that you need to retain all this as we're going. That's not how it works. You'll pick it up just by following the flow of the lesson. You don't need to try to memorize it. So comprender, to understand, and cambiar, to change. Cambiar, to change. And what do you think to change it would be? So I bought something the other day, but I need to change it. What would that be? Cambiarlo. Just stick the lo on the end. Cambiarlo, to change it. Dejar is to leave. Dejar. So you can't leave me. Leave me. What do you think to leave me would be? Dejarme. 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 A phrase, dejarme en paz. Leave me in peace. We would say, leave me alone. And olvidar is to forget. Olvidar, to forget. Olvidarlo would be to forget it. Olvidarlo, to forget it. How do you think you would say to forget me? Like, I don't want you to forget me. What would that be? Olvidarme. Olvidarme. Okay, let's see how we can start off our phrases. So we're going to go through these in pairs, and the first one is always I do something, and then the second is you, which can also be a question, as we'll see. So I want is quiero. Quiero. I want. Quiero. I want. And quieres is you want. But that can easily be a question, do you want, as we'll see now. So if I said, quiero verte, what do you think that would mean? Quiero verte. I want to see you. Quiero verte. I want to see you. And how about with do you want? You want. ¿Quieres? What does it mean if I say, ¿Quieres visitar Madrid? ¿Quieres visitar Madrid? Do you want to visit Madrid? So we don't always have to add on me, it, or you. Do you want to visit Madrid? ¿Quieres visitar Madrid? Sí, quiero visitar Madrid. Yes, I want to visit Madrid. But we could also say, ¿Quieres visitarlo? ¿Quieres visitarlo? And what does that question mean? Do you want to visit it? Okay, so let's go down to our next two. And again, if you're getting overloaded or feeling overloaded, it's okay. Just relax, because I take you step by step through this, kind of bit of hand-holding as we go. So our next two, I can and you can. So I can is puedo. I can, puedo. And you can ends in es, just like you did for want above. So you can is puedes. So I can, puedo, and you can, puedes. So what would it mean if I said, puedo llamarte? Puedo llamarte. I can call you. I can call you later. Puedo llamarte. And what about the question? So puedes is you can, but we can always just turn it into a question by change in the tone of our voice. So, what does this mean? ¿Puedes dejarlo? ¿Puedes dejarlo? Can you leave it? And that could have the different meanings that it does in English. So, can you leave it? Can you just leave it on the table for me? Or it could be, can you leave it? Like, can you just leave that issue alone? Just stop talking about it. Can you leave it? How about another question? ¿Puedes mirarme? ¿Puedes mirarme? Can you look at me? And let's go down to I have is tengo. But if we want to say I have to, as in I must, it's tengo que. Tengo que, I have to. And the question, so do you have to, or you have to, is tienes que. So tienes is you have to is tienes que. What does it mean if I said, tengo que encontrarlo? Tengo que encontrarlo. I have to find it. How about with you have to? Tienes que visitar Madrid. Tienes que visitar Madrid. Actually, let's have a different place instead of Madrid again. Tienes que visitar México. Tienes que visitar México. You have to visit Mexico. Okay, our next two. I have just. It's a great little expression. So, acabo de is I have just. Acabo de. And you have just. Acabas de. Acabas de. Or a question, have you just? Acabas de. So, acabo de, I have just. How would you say? I've just. Well, let's go for Mexico again. I've just visited Mexico. What would that be? I've just visited Mexico. And I know it sounds like, if you look at the English, it sounds like you're saying, I have just to visit Mexico. But it works out in the translation in English would be, I have just visited Mexico. What would that be? Acabo de visitar México. Acabo de visitar México. What does this mean? Acabas de cambiarlo. Acabas de cambiarlo. You've just changed it. So it might be, you want to get another telephone, but you've just changed it recently. So acabo de, I've just, and acabas de, you've just. And we'll just finish off on I'm going to. Voy a. Voy a, I'm going to. Voy a. So, voy a olvidarlo. What does that mean? Voy a olvidarlo. I'm going to forget it. Voy a olvidarlo. I'm going to forget it. How would you say, I'm going to call you? Voy a llamarte. Voy a llamarte. I'm going to call you. Okay, let's go to our final column, a few time phrases. So we'll start off with ahora, now. Ahora, now. How would you say to leave it now? Dejarlo ahora. Dejarlo ahora. And later is just more late. Tarde is late. Nice and easy because it's like tardy, being late. More late. Más tarde. Más tarde. What does it mean if I say verme más tarde? Verme más tarde. To see me later. So can you see me later, for example? And then a nice little one at the end there. Lo antes posible. meaning the most before possible, as soon as possible. We would say lo antes posible. How would you say to forget it as soon as possible? What would that be? To forget it, like it's important to forget it as soon as possible. Olvidarlo lo antes posible. Olvidarlo lo antes posible. And we'll just take a quick pause there while I mention our very popular Levels 1 to 6 course. This takes the complete beginner or a near beginner right up to a conversational level of Spanish in a series of very easy to follow steps. All the lessons on this YouTube channel are supplementary, whereas the core Levels 1 to 6 is very much a step-by-step program delivered by the same teacher as all the other videos on the ProSpanish YouTube channel. And while the style is very similar to what you'll be used to from these videos on the channel, the key difference is that every lesson carefully builds on the previous lessons so that you can really feel that progress of going from very little or no Spanish up to a level where you can confidently hold a conversation in Spanish. So again, that's available exclusively from prospanish.co.uk. Right, let's put all this together now. So just listen to my sentences and work out what's being said. So just follow along. What does this mean? Quiero verte lo antes posible. Quiero verte lo antes posible. I want to see you as soon as possible. How about tienes que encontrarlo ahora? Tienes que encontrarlo ahora. You have to find it now. What about acabo de comprenderlo ahora? Acabo de comprenderlo ahora. I have just or I've just understood it now. I've just understood it now. How about voy a visitarte más tarde? Voy a visitarte más tarde. What about tienes que llamarme lo antes posible? Tienes que llamarme lo antes posible. You have to call me as soon as possible. How about a question? ¿Quieres verme ahora? ¿Quieres verme ahora? Do you want to see me now? And we've done you can, and obviously the question can be can you, but we can also change I can to a question can I. So what does this mean? ¿Puedo cambiarlo más tarde? ¿Puedo cambiarlo más tarde? Can I change it later? Okay, next, have a look at this listening pyramid and see if you can work out what's being said. As we go down the pyramid, the phrase is getting extended. Each time we're adding a little bit more onto what was above. Okay, so have a listen.
Quiero.
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 So quiero, and quiero is I want. So quiero, I want. So now it's going to start off with quiero and add a bit more to it.
Quiero verte. Quiero verte. Quiero verte.
So quiero verte. Quiero verte. And that meant I want to see who? I want to see you. Verte. Let's add a bit more on.
Quiero verte lo antes posible.
Quiero verte lo antes posible.
Quiero verte lo antes posible.
Okay, so that sounds tricky, but I'm sure you can break it. Listen one more time.
Quiero verte lo antes posible.
So it's quiero verte, I want to see you, and what's the last bit? Quiero verte lo antes posible. And that meant I see you as soon as possible. Okay, so you can imagine just how quickly you can tune your ear with this process. And there are 600 of these included in the all-in-one course, which is our most popular ProSpanish course. Okay, let's go to another one then. Okay, this is a much longer one. Let's start at the top.
Acabo de. Acabo de.
Acabo de.
So, acabo de. Acabo de. Acabo de meant I've just. Acabo de.
Acabo de encontrarlo. Acabo de encontrarlo. Acabo de encontrarlo.
Acabo de, acabo de encontrarlo. Acabo de encontrarlo means just found it. Let's play that again.
Acabo de encontrarlo.
So I've just found it. Okay, let's build on that.
Acabo de encontrarlo ahora. Acabo de encontrarlo ahora.
Acabo de encontrarlo ahora.
So how much of that did you get? Acabo de encontrarlo ahora. Acabo de encontrarlo ahora. I've just found it, and ahora is now. I've just found it now. Okay, let's see how we add some more onto that.
Acabo de encontrarlo ahora. ¿Quieres? Acabo de encontrarlo ahora. ¿Quieres?
So what's that extra word that's being added on?
Acabo de encontrarlo ahora. ¿Quieres?
Acabo de encontrarlo ahora. ¿Quieres? So I've just found it now. Do you want? Okay, let's have a quick listen to that again. So
Acabo de encontrarlo ahora. ¿Quieres?
okay, the final one.
Acabo de encontrarlo ahora. ¿Quieres verlo? Acabo de encontrarlo ahora. ¿Quieres verlo? Acabo de encontrarlo ahora. ¿Quieres verlo?
So acabo de encontrarlo ahora. ¿Quieres verlo? I've just found it now. Do you want to see it? And of course you can work your way up and down this as often as you want. And the great thing about this is that we can also test out speaking. So we can do it just for the pronunciation if we want. So let's just say, we'll take the second line. We click on the microphone and say the Spanish. Acabo de encontrarlo. Okay, so that's perfect. Acabo de encontrarlo. I just found it. And we'll come back to this a bit later and we'll do some speaking fluency with this. Okay, let's try one more. Okay, we'll start at the top. It's not quite so long, this one.
Si puedo.
Si puedo. Si puedo.
Okay, now there's an extra new word added in there, which might not be guessable, and it's si puedo. So you reckon puedo, I can. Si looks like yes, and it's pronounced just like yes, but it means if. So si puedo, if I can. And you can see with this kind of approach to learning Spanish, to learn a language, we can just add little bits on and you're expanding out what you're able to say very, very quickly. So, si puedo, if I can. So let's add on to that.
Si puedo, voy a.
Si puedo, voy a. Si puedo, voy a.
So, si puedo, voy a. Si puedo, voy a. If I can, I'm going to. If I can, I'm going to. Next.
Si puedo, voy a visitarte.
Si puedo, voy a visitarte. Si puedo, voy a visitarte.
Si puedo, voy a visitarte. If I can, I'm going to visit. Visit who? Visit you. If I can, I'm going to visit you. Let's have a listen to that again.
Si puedo, voy a visitarte.
Okay, we had a bit of a double echo there, so let's listen again.
Si puedo, voy a visitarte.
Okay, and to the last one.
Si puedo, voy a visitarte más tarde.
Si puedo, voy a visitarte más tarde.
So, si puedo, voy a visitarte más tarde. If I can, I'm going to visit you later. And as I said before, there are 600 of these included in the all-in-one course. And now it's your turn to do some speaking. So just look at the grid, and whenever you can, if you feel confident, then try to answer looking away from the grid, but obviously it's there for your support. So how would you say, I can call you later? What would that be? I can call you later. Puedo llamarte más tarde. Puedo llamarte más tarde. I can call you later. And of course, the question is exactly the same. Can I call you later? Just change the intonation at the end. ¿Puedo llamarte más tarde? Okay, how would you say, I have just changed it now? What would that be? Acabo de cambiarlo ahora. Acabo de cambiarlo ahora. And of course, we don't have to have lo for it. It could be mi teléfono, my phone. Acabo de cambiar mi teléfono ahora. I've just changed my phone now. And how would you ask, do you want to see me later? ¿Quieres verme más tarde? ¿Quieres verme más tarde? How about, you have to understand. So we'll just keep it short. You have to understand. What would that be? Tienes que comprender. Tienes que comprender. And you may or may not know that all of these in the first column can be changed into a negative by just adding no. I want, quiero. I don't want, no quiero. I can, puedo. I can't, no puedo. I'm going to, voy a. I'm not going to, no voy a. So how would you say, and we'll keep this one, just the first two columns, I can't find it. What would that be? No puedo encontrarlo. No puedo encontrarlo. How would you say, I'm not going to leave it? What would that be? No voy a dejarlo. No voy a dejarlo. How about, I can't look at you now. I can't look at you now. What would that be? Bit mean. No puedo mirarte ahora. No puedo mirarte ahora. And following on that theme, I don't want to see you now. What would that be? No quiero verte ahora. No quiero verte ahora. So you can see how this Pro-Spanish way of making everything very easy, just adding little bits on at a time, but very quickly getting you to the really useful language. And this is something that most courses don't do. Let's try this long one. How would you say, I can't see you now. I have to find my phone. And I'll help you with my phone in a minute. So I can't see you now. I have to find my phone. And my phone is just mi teléfono. So what would that be? No puedo verte ahora. Tengo que encontrar mi teléfono. No puedo verte ahora. Tengo que encontrar mi teléfono. And perhaps a few minutes later, the person might exclaim, I've just found it. What would that be? Or I've just found, well, let's go, I've just found it first. What would that be? Acabo de encontrarlo. Acabo de encontrarlo. And how about, I've just found my phone? What would that be? Acabo de encontrar mi teléfono. Acabo de encontrar mi teléfono. And we'll go back to our pyramids now for some speaking practice. Okay, so let's try one that we've already done. And we're just going to work our way down. So click on the microphone, we'll see the English, and we've got to say the Spanish. Quiero. Okay, fine. Let's add to that now. Quiero verte. Okay, I want to see you, right? And the final one. Quiero verte lo antes posible. Okay, fine. That's a straightforward one to start with. Let's go for... Okay, we'll start at the top. Si puedo. Okay, that was a tricky one because the si, a new word for if. So si puedo, if I can. Let's keep trying. Si puedo, voy a. Okay, and carry on down. Si puedo, voy a visitarte. And the final one. Si puedo, voy a visitarte más tarde. Okay, and that's how we do it. Let's do one more and we're just going to go to the final line. Okay, let's start right at the bottom and see if we can manage this. It'll be tricky. ¿Puedes verme ahora? Es importante. And if we weren't sure, then we can just either show it or we can play
¿Puedes verme ahora? Es importante.
and show as much as we want. The way the toggle works on show is it's one click to show the Spanish, 2 clicks to show the click to show the English, and then the next one will toggle it off. And before we move on to the more advanced part of this lesson, another reminder that the Levels 1 to 6 course and the all-in-one ProSpanish course is available exclusively from prospanish.co.uk. Okay, so for the advanced part of this lesson, have a look at the grid. You can see we've swapped things around a bit. We've kept the verbs, but you'll see that they're in the present subjunctive, the you form, and you'll notice that the object pronoun, the it, me, and you, they now come before. So we can only put those pronouns at the end. We can only stick them on the end of an infinitive or some other things like imperatives, but not a normal conjugated verb. So lo veas, you see it, present subjunctive. Me llames, you call me, present subjunctive. And the reason why we have the subjunctive there is because in our first column, these are verbs where it's basically I'm wanting to influence you. I want you to do this. I hope that you do this. I suggest that you do this. I prefer that you do this. So they're kind of verbs that influence you to do something. So quiero que, I want that. Espero que, I hope that. Sugiero que, I suggest that. Prefiero que, I prefer that. And then if you're not that familiar with the subjunctive, well, if you search on my channel, there is a video all about how the endings work. But for now, you can see it's fairly straightforward. Apart from the top one, it works very much on the basis of if it would normally end in as, like you visit, then in the subjunctive it's the other one ending in es. And if it would normally end in es, like comprendes, you understand, then in the subjunctive it's the opposite ending, it's the as. So they just kind of switch around. And then you see is veas, which kind of works as well. Okay, so veas, you see, visites, you visit, llames, you call, encuentres, you find, mires, you look, comprendas, you understand, cambies, you change, dejes, you leave, and olvides, you forget. So listen, and what do these mean? Espero que lo encuentres. Espero que lo encuentres. I hope that you find it. Prefiero que me mires. Prefiero que me mires. I prefer that you look at me. Quiero que me llames. Quiero que me llames. And we could add something from the previous lesson. Quiero que me llames lo antes posible. I want you to call me as soon as possible. How about sugiero que lo visites? Sugiero que lo visites. I suggest you visit it. How about prefiero que lo cambies? Prefiero que lo cambies. I prefer that you change it. And we're probably more likely to say, I prefer you to change it, something like that. So another example where the structure is slightly different in English. Quiero que lo veas. I want that you see it, but we would actually say, I want you to see it. Quiero que lo veas. What does this mean? No quiero que me olvides. No quiero que me olvides. I don't want that, but actually we would say, I don't want you to forget me. I don't want you to forget me. Okay, let's swap around now, and you do the Spanish. How would you say, I suggest you look at it? What would that be? Sugiero que lo mires. Sugiero que lo mires. How about, I prefer you to call me later. Prefiero que me llames más tarde. Prefiero que me llames más tarde. How about, I hope that you understand me. Espero que me comprendas. Espero que me comprendas. And how would you say, I want you to look at me now. Quiero que me mires ahora. Quiero que me mires ahora. How about I don't want you to forget it. No quiero que lo olvides. No quiero que lo olvides. And we could add in there other influence in verbs like I need you to do something. Necesito que. Necesito que. How would you say, I need you to call me as soon as possible? What would that be? Necesito que me llames lo antes posible. Necesito que me llames lo antes posible. And that concludes today's Pro-Spanish lesson. As mentioned earlier, if you're looking to become a confident and a competent speaker of Spanish, head over to prospanish.co.uk where you can download the full Levels 1 to 6 course.